Uh, Good morning, everyone, and I'm so sorry for the delay, but I'm thankful that you're patient and you've been patiently waiting. And this probably another 45 minutes to an hour, we will review about how artificial intelligence can be effectively used in systematic reviews. I was watching the earlier one. I'm sure a lot of people are interested in systematic reviews. Before we start, I would probably, I think this is not required. Maybe I'd like to start with thanking Dr. Fortune for his kind invite, Dr. Julia and ACSRM, and Christian Medical College Vellore, my institution, and author aid, which made the connections. And I have no conflicts of interest to declare, and no funding was obtained for this presentation. So to tell you where I'm talking from a place called as Vellore in India. So Ghana seems to be somewhere here, and this is India. So I'm in the southernmost part of India. It's called a place called as Vellore. It's near Chennai. I think some of you may know of Chennai. So I want to start with this presentation being these are my views on the topic. There are multiple artificial intelligence tools which are there, and I would like to declare that no artificial intelligence tools were used for making of this presentation. So if I may request you to probably join in at Menti, use this code. That will be of great help. So the Menti code is 4268837. Maybe log in to www.menti.com. I'll just type it up, menti.com, and use this code. Or you can use a QR scanner as well. Okay, are people in? So there's one person who's here. Okay, there are people joining in. There are people who are in. Shall we go ahead? Maybe just somebody can type if you want to start off with the presentation with the Menti. All right. Let's go to the first question. What do you want to know by the end of today's sessions in terms of AI tools and systematic reviews? Maybe we'll give a minute. It's MENTI, menti.com. Thomas. Thank you, Nancy. We are in. So, by the end of today's session, what would you like to know? Okay, how to use AI to
Sorry,
extract
would you
data.
mind?
Yes, please. Yeah,
Yeah,
Fortune.
would you mind? Yes, would you mind sharing your Menti screen? It's still a slide that is showing. I don't know.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
If you want to show.
Yes. Hold on. Oh, thank you for that. Fortune. Thank you so much. Okay, sorry. So, what would you like to know by the end of today's session? Some people have mentioned about how to use AI to extract metadata, how to conduct systematic review, how to use AI to conduct, how to research reviews, understand and able use. Okay, basic skills. I want to be able to conduct a review that can be published. Okay, some people are more interested in publishing. Some people want to do it. Some people want to publish it. Okay, how AI can be used to facilitate systematic reviews, automate systematic review, comprehensively understand. I fear we may not be able to do a comprehensive, but at least give you a taste of what AI can help you do with. You know how to use AI tools. Okay, best tools for plagiarism. Okay, that's an interesting one. Ethically for systematic reviews. Okay, platform. Okay, metadata. Okay, AI to use identify papers for systematic review. That's an interesting one. AI to identify and select relevant literature. Okay, so majority of people here today want to use AI for writing papers, which is very good. Okay, there are some people who are still writing. How to use AI to extract data, basic skills and systematic reviews. Okay, there's a mix of people who want to learn how to use systematic reviews, and there are people who want to use an advanced level. So that's an interesting mix of people. Understand the use, okay, effective use. Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Maybe we'll go to the next question. How would you grade yourself when it comes to systematic reviews? Are you a researcher, a budding researcher, or a novice, or an expert? Okay, we have a novice. Heard the name a few days back. Okay, a lot of people in the novice side. Okay, there are some budding researchers around. Okay, there are some true researchers. There are some, the budding researchers are trying to overtake the novices. There are some researchers. Okay, okay, that's a nice mix between people who are struggling hard to finish a review, and there are some people who have heard systematic review for the first time. And there are some interesting researchers as well. That's nice to know. Okay, Solomon says he's a novice. Thank you, Solomon. All right, we've got about 73 responses out of 76. Okay, let's go to the next one. According to you, what are the possible challenges one can face when performing systematic reviews? Probably the novices and also the advanced researchers can tell us what are the possible challenges you may face when you perform systematic reviews. If you've not done it, it's all right. You can think of what possible challenges. Okay, getting full papers. I totally agree. Data extraction, assessing bias, the methodology. I like the person who mentioned about formatting the research question. That, I think that's where it all starts. Getting studies and time factor. I totally agree. How to get the papers. Long duration for systematic search. Okay, limited publications. I totally agree. There are some times where we'll get frustrated. Oh goodness, involves a lot of reviewing work. I agree totally. Understanding the steps involved. Okay, screening, working with bias, time constraints, using IA. Okay, artificial intelligence, extracting differences of sample size. I totally agree. Time factor. Okay, challenge one: getting to access in detail how to use softwares to conduct. Wow, lots of reviews. Ethically, really nice that somebody is thinking about how to use AI tools ethically. Very good. Reading through a lot of papers, how to get it published. It's not about just doing the research, but also to get it published. Formatting objectives, earnest, and somebody's mentioned about longer duration. I totally agree with that. Synthesizing, long time, how to start. Brilliant. Thank you so much for your active participation. So now we'll head back to the screen. Fortune, just a check. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, what we can see is empty screen.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Oh, okay. By the end of this workshop, we'd like to have the participants describe the process involved in preparing a systematic review and also to identify the common challenges faced during the process, to participate and explore the role of artificial intelligence in systematic reviews. Sorry. suddenly there is a huge interest in systematic reviews. So why is this sudden interest in systematic reviews? I think this has happened after our COVID, because a lot of people have time. We had a lot of time, so we were able to sit and do a lot of synthesized literature. And also, no paper asks you to submit for an ethics application, because people who write original studies will understand that writing an ethics application is going to take a lot of time and effort and reviews and etc. And this does not really involve patience. So it's easier. You sit, identify a topic, and just do it. It looks very easier for a lot of people. Honestly, it is not. It takes a lot of time. For people who've given the feedback, they said it takes a lot of time and also involves a lot of cost. Cost in terms of time, resources, and also some softwares may cost you money. So, Fortune was showing us about Covidence. Covidence is free for the first review, but if you would like to do it for multiple reviews, it depends on the institution. So, institution needs to pay for it. So, a bird's eye view of the systematic review process, because some of you wanted to know about the review process. The first process starts with developing a protocol, then go on to do a search strategy, select studies, data extraction, perform a risk of bias, perform the data analysis, interpret the findings, and writing it up at the end. So, the protocol development is the important step that we need to do. Many a times it feels boring to develop the protocol, and we find it very difficult to develop the protocol. I think this is the vital step for anybody who wants to do a systematic review, because we need to decide what needs to be done in the systematic review. The three important components are to have a well researched question, well formulated research questions, and also the methods need to be robust. So we need to use proper methods. Sometimes publishing the protocol makes the review a bit more meritorious because people may not use it, and also publishing the protocol makes it easier to publish the review. So those of you who are thinking about whether my review would be published can consider actually publishing a protocol, or at least depositing your protocol in a open server access like OSF or probably bioarchive, things like that. So search strategy is best developed by using experts in the field like the information specialists. The important thing is to identify databases. Each database has a separate search strategy which we need to adapt. And also at least search for two or more databases. The more amount of databases we search, the better is our study retrieval. And then we run the search. There are, if you are looking at multiple databases, the searches may be duplicated, so we need to deduplicate the results. And also then the most important step is to prepare for the screening. Now, some journals ask you to do a peer review of the search strategy. So, if you have some librarian, you can do your search strategy and give the librarian, they can help you with it. So, some of you may be wondering, this talk is on artificial intelligence. Why am I talking about the process in the systematic review? I think it's better for all of us to be on the same page. So, once we learn about or understand the different processes in a review, it becomes easier. Maybe for an experienced person, it may feel duplication and repetition. Please hold on. We'll come back to it. It'll be more interesting when we apply the AI tools. And the study selection is preferred to have at least two independent reviewers. It is better to document who the two independent reviewers would be. There are some softwares. Microsoft Excel is an excellent tool for doing the review. If you want to do it in a blinded way, Covidence might be a good option. There are paid softwares which can help you with the blinded. It's always good to be independent. Not all the time the reviewers will be in agreement, so it's important to come to a consensus. So that's why we need at least 2 to 3 people for the reviewing the studies. Important thing is the screening criteria. So we need to be able to define the screening criteria based on which we are going to use the study. So that is where the protocol comes into play. So usually what happens is people do a title and abstract screening first, then they will filter out a lot of studies, then they will take some studies which needs to have the full text, and then we check on with the agreements and the disagreements. Then the data extraction, we need to have a pre-decided data extraction form, and we need to extract the outcomes extracted from the article. This is where it's a time consuming step. It takes a lot of time for data extraction depending on the number of studies. There was a paper where we had to extract about 200 odd studies, so it took a lot of time for us to complete it. So this is where it's time consuming, and also we should never compromise on the quality of the results, because the quality of results, which is what will determine the quality of your findings, and this is very important step. So unless we provide good quality evidence into the studies, it becomes very, very difficult. And it's preferable that two independent people perform the data extraction. And the next thing is the risk of bias, data analysis, and interpretation of findings. I'm sure Dr. Moses spoke about meta analysis. So, for the meta analysis, we need to have the data, and also we need to be able to identify the risk of bias for each study that's used. So, if a study is using randomized control trials, we need to use some specific things like Cochrane or Petro or things like that. And if it's a observational study, we can use Robbins. So depending on the type of study we use, the risk of bias scales vary, and the data analysis needs to be based on the protocol and not based on the studies we get. So, identify the protocol, perform the data analysis. There may be chances that there will be some amount of protocol deviations in the review compared to the protocol. So, it's always good to mention the protocol deviations in the review. And we need to have the findings, interpretations. These are the key to the paper. So, identify the findings and perform our interpretation to help the paper get better. This is the most important step, and this is where it takes a lot of time, because once we get the study done, we become a bit more relaxed. So, writing it up is where we procrastinate, because we all wait for the perfect time to complete the write up. There's never a perfect time, so we need to start doing it as early as we can. And also, when we send it to our co-authors, they never return it on time, so it becomes a problem. So there are sometimes what people do, they change the analysis to get the statistical significance of p less than 0.05. So please don't do that, because we already have a protocol which is published. So we need to be very careful about what are the analysis we do, what are the outcome measures we extract, and we become accountable. Otherwise, it gives a lot of bias to our research processes, and it doesn't become robust. So people cannot trust our findings. So the common challenges what people always face is, first is a research question. How do I find a research question? The second problem is, I find the research question, but what are search terms can I do? So I've got the search terms, but how do I search in PubMed? How do I search in Scopus? How do I search in Web of Science, etc.? And how do I screen these articles? And how do I do a data extraction? I've done the data extraction. How do I interpret it? And how do I write it up? So that's where we are going to talk about. Based on these important things, is what we are going to talk to about the role of artificial intelligence. We need to understand this is not a natural intelligence like human beings, each of us have. It is an artificial intelligence where it simulates human intelligence. It simulates human problem solving abilities. So usually humans do a job. We combine the technology and make it a bit more uh, user friendly for it to do it independently. So many websites have these chatbots where they have this thing you type and they will respond. There are, you go to malls, they'll say you where are you, and etc. Even GPS guidance, if we use GPS, so GPS will tell you after 10 meters turn right, after 15 meters turn left, etc. Those are things which are in our day-to-day living. There's something called generative AI which is coming up, where it generates its own things. Now there are machine learning and deep learning things which are there. Okay, Solomon, I will. Do you want me to take the questions now or a bit later?
You can
Okay,
take questions later. Sorry.
okay. So I just acknowledge that there are two questions which have come in. We will take your questions once we're done with this. I'm sorry, Solomon, the other person. So now a lot of people are talking about machine learning and deep learning, where it kind of simulates our natural neural technology and how our brain thinks. Now there is a boom in applications. There are so many applications every day. There are 5 or 10 softwares which come out because there are so many things in the market. Recently, Google has released AI tool, and Chat GPT has got an open AI thing, and again, a lot of things come up. So there's a stiff competition in market. So whoever releases it first gets the lion's share. So there are new tools every day. Is it ethical? It becomes a tricky question depending on which worldview we are in. So we'll come back to it one by one. So to understand a bit on machine learning and deep learning, artificial intelligence is the overall thing, and machine learning is where the computer does it without explicitly programmed. There is some amount of input which is being given, it tries to fit in. Deep learning is something like our artificial neural networks where it kind of works like a human brain. So artificial intelligence, the entire thing, machine learning is the intermediary, and deep learning is something which is like our natural brain. All right. So this is a master slide that we have. How do I get a research question? There are multiple things: AI Assistant, Chat GPT, Bard, Bing, etc. Keywords to develop a search strategy is pub reminer. Searching title and abstract, you have Ryan, Covidence, Distiller, SR, Abstractor. Adapt searches and databases, we have SR Accelerated Polyglot. For data extraction, there is a robot reviewer. For trials, there is things which you can use. For people who are finding how to write research, there's Genie AI. Finding citations, there is a research robot, research rabbit, sorry. So this is the master slide which we have about how we can do it. So what I will do right now is I'll stop sharing and I will use it one by one. Probably I'll take a few questions before we go. Okay. Ansa has got a question with respect to two people doing the extraction. Is each person assigned a particular database? Ansa, the thing about doing extraction, each person is assigned the same article. So if I have an article, if there's one article, if me and probably Fortune are the researchers, I will have to do it independently, and Fortune has to do it independently. So it becomes an independent data extraction, so that whatever I missed, Fortune would have picked up, or whatever Fortune has missed up, I would have picked up. So it's always good to have two independent researchers. Solomon has asked the question: can you have more than one research questions for a systematic review? It depends on the question. So if it's a broader question, we can have one broader question and different sub questions. For example, uh, I'm a physiotherapist, so I was introduced as a psychotherapist, but I'm a physiotherapist. So I'm talking from my own perspective. If you have any questions, please. I'm sorry, I do not know what your background are. There are some people who are in education, etc. So I can say the role of exercise in low back pain. So that is a broad question, but there can be sub questions. Something like effect of strengthening exercises on low back pain and effects of stretching exercise on low back pain. That's part of the bigger question, but it's a smaller subset of my questions. So you can have one bigger question followed by smaller components. More than one research question, it becomes very difficult for you to publish because the volume of work is humongous. So it's always good to have one research question when you're doing it. It makes it much more clearer, and it helps us to be a bit more focused. Can you take a few more questions? Probably another 5-10 minutes. We can have some questions if you have. Then we'll go into the demonstration of things. Where do we classify computer vision? I'm very sorry. What is computer vision? I do not understand this term. Sorry. Habib, I'm sorry. I do not understand this term. What? Where do we classify computer vision as in? Okay. So I will. Okay.
Mr. Lenny, there are some people who raise their hands.
Yeah,
Would
yeah.
you
I'm
like
it's
to?
just opening. Oh, I'm looking at the chat. I'm sorry.
No problem. There's only, I think, one person. Let me check.
Okay. Interesting question. Are these AI tools free? Okay, some of the tools are free. Uh, I don't think people do things for charity. So some features are free, but most of the features we need to pay. So that's a tricky one. On average, how long does it take to conduct systematic review from start to finish? I think that's a practical question. It depends on the research question and how much are we looking at. Anywhere between 2 months, I would say, is an ideal time. But there are some groups in Australia who try and finish off reviews in 2 weeks and publish it, as in finish the reviews and send it for publication. But they sit for the entire 2 weeks, focus and do it. So depending on how urgent it is and depending on the topic, it takes time. It really takes time. How about detecting AI and human work? I do not know how to pronounce the name. I do not want to make a mistake. Now plagiarism softwares have become even more smarter. They are able to pick up auto-generated content. They don't call it AI. They call it auto-generated content. So Turnitin can actually pick up if you're using ChatGPT to write your assignments. I think universities have become smarter. So it can actually figure out if you've used it, used artificial intelligence tools for your writing. Turnitin is a good tool. There are some tools also which are there. Okay, Rafael, I'm so sorry for this one because I'm not a real computer expert. So deep learning, I'm not very sure. So I probably may have to knock that question off because I do not know. What with the introduction of plagiarism softwares, how do you beat the AI policy on the acceptable level of journals prior to publication in reputable journals? Pius, that's a good question. There are some universities where they say if you've used AI, please acknowledge the use of AI in your assignments. Something like, I've used ChatGPT. So, what is the prompts that you've got, and what did you use the AI for? So, that's kind of acceptable. So, I'm part of Melbourne University. So, Melbourne University, what they say is use AI, but mention what are the prompts you used and why have you used it for. It's good to declare it. So, some people have been open about using AI, but softwares have been tuned to really pick up whether you used AI. Is computer vision a subset of AI? I'm so sorry. Habib, I do not know about AI. I'm sorry. That's my ignorance. Isaac has asked the question: is there an ideal number of papers required for a systematic review? There's nothing called as an ideal number of papers. In fact, Cochrane reviews, there are a couple of Cochrane reviews where there are not a single paper, which are there for using in the study. So this was in the early 90s, not early 90s, early 2000s, late 90s, where they were publishing systematic reviews even without papers. Ideally, there's nothing called as an ideal, but at least two or three papers would be good to have some amount of findings. If there's no findings in the paper, then it takes a lot of research waste because you're spending a lot of time without any real real product outside. Or web scraping. Shadrach has asked a question: web scraping tools ethical for gray literature search and reviews? Um, I do not understand by the term web scraping tools. If you can just let me know what is web scraping tool, probably there's a different terminology. Maybe I'll wait for your question, Shadrach. Can there be a situation that after a quality appraisal, no papers? Yes, there are high chances where after you finish your quality appraisal, there are papers which are not there. That's the irony of life because it's not our paper; it's what others have done. So that is where we will have to work on a broader research topic depending on how we do it. So sometimes some researchers do this thing. They do a scoping review. They scope the literature and then they do a systematic review. Scope the literature to see the extent of papers which are available and then you do it. Okay. Can they? Okay. No. How to remove plagiarism from AI generated content? Mariam has got the smartest question. So I should not answer this in public, but I'll tell you, it's always good to have the prompts ready and also paraphrase what we get from AI generated content. That helps it. Maybe better to have an outline and then build on it. Can AI be used in data extraction? Yes, very much. I will demonstrate Robot Reviewer, which can help you with data extraction. But this can be done only for RCTs. If you want to reference the AI tool you use, how will you go about it? Sandra, I think if you use an AI tool, it is good to be honest and transparent and upfront tell that we've used this. If we acknowledge the use of an AI, I don't think anybody would penalize you for that as long as we've acknowledged it upfront. Otherwise, then it becomes a problem. They find out that you've used it and etc. So it's always good to reference an AI tool, and most of the websites will have a citation there. So please mention it. Do you use review papers or experimental study papers when doing a systematic reviews? Okay, when we do systematic reviews, it's experimental study papers. When we do review papers, it becomes a umbrella review. So it becomes an umbrella review if you want to do a review papers, or a review of reviews becomes an umbrella review. So depending on what we want, whether I want to do a systematic review or an umbrella review, I can choose my studies for inclusion. Can you include systematic review for a systematic review? Unfortunately, no. That is called as an umbrella review. We can actually look at the studies which are included in a systematic review to do a back referencing. So if we can look at the reference of the included studies in the systematic review and see if we missed out anything, and then we can add it. All right. Any more questions? Maybe another couple of minutes, and then we'll go to the. Okay. Let me ask you a simple question. Has anybody? Yes, I will, Mariam. I'm going to show whatever is there in the slide right now. Before that, I would like to ask a question. Has anybody used Chat GPT in the past? You can use the chat function. Okay. Have I used Chat GPT in the past? Yes, I have used. Is there anybody who's okay? Thank you, Mustafa, for honest, and Mimi for paraphrasing. Okay. Is there anybody who's not used Chat GPT in the past? A lot? I think that's reality. Okay, there's somebody who's not used it, and there's somebody who's using Copilot. Okay, that's an interesting choice. I have two sons. My sons use Gemini in the night. They want to find out something, they use Gemini. Okay, that extract. Shadrak, I have not used web scraping tools for extracting data from websites and databases. I prefer the manual method. So unfortunately, I have not used it. Sorry. Okay. Somebody says ChatGPT is my friend. Okay. Somebody's got Quillbot. Quillbot is something similar to Grammarly for paraphrasing. Okay. Limited use of ChatGPT. I look. Okay. So without wasting much time, for the benefit of people who've not used ChatGPT, I will just go to the non-login version. Can I ask one of you to just give me a broad research question? Want to what you want to look at? Some broad research question. Okay, Mariam has been. Rosalind, we'll use yours a bit later. We'll use antioxidants in diabetes. Okay. I'm just trying to share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? Can somebody give me a response? Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, we can.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to chat GPT. Okay. Okay, I'm I'm not using the paid version. I'm not using the login version. I'm just using chat GPT. Okay. To respect the faster fingers first, we will take the person who's put the first question in my system, which is Mariam, use of antioxidants in diabetes. So what I will do is topic use of antioxidants in oxidants in diabetes. Okay, so this is what it will give you. I'm just randomly putting for people who are new to ChatGPT. You don't have to worry about writing assignments. You just type it. ChatGPT will give you. So the few prompts you can give is tone, academic, format, outline for research questions, format for research questions. Okay, outline. So I want the output as research questions. So I want an outline of research questions. So let's see what it gives. So it gives me a lot of things about oxidants and etc. So probably what I would do right now is I will look at each of these things and look at what I'm interested in. So here it talks about role of antioxidants in diabetes management, where oxidative stress, how does it relate to diabetes, so if it's needed, and etc. Or we can do it the traditional way. Hi, can you give me interesting research questions? So it's very simple, very easy. You just have to type whatever you need, and it keeps giving you questions. So this works based on what is your output that you give. So you talk more in terms of any your specialist field, it'll research more into this field. But the problem with Chat GPT is it's not this version. What I'm using is not a currently updated version. So you ask them who's the prime minister of UK, it may not give you. So we are talking about research. So talk about some things which are helpful for generating. Any questions? Any questions that you may have? I'll probably take one more question. The second question, what somebody has given, which is bioactive compounds, Roslyn's bioactive compounds for weight loss. Can you give me research questions on bioactive compounds for so this is one way how we can use Chat GPT for generating a lot of questions. But this is not written in stone. This can give you some interesting ideas. The other thing what we can do is, can you give me more options? It'll give you more. So depending on what you fed in the system, it keeps giving you ideas. So you can use Chat GPT. It's free, but it may not be updated. So it's free. You can use it. So one problem is sorted out where we have a software which can give you topics. So the next one, what we're going to do is, how do we develop a search strategy? We are going to go into a site which is called as Pub Reminer. Okay, it's called Pub Reminer. That's the site. So I will take the third one just to be not create confusion between people.
Uh,
Yeah.
Mr. Mr. Lenny, if I suggest
Yes.
something, could you
Yeah,
just
please.
take a question from social science so we won't focus on just health science?
No problem, Nafisa.
Yeah,
I'm open. So why don't you tell me
thank
a
you.
question? Why don't you
Because
go
we have
tell me a
many
question?
participants. Let me just check
I,
there
I
was a question.
I totally agree. It's a mixed population, so I've been taking it in order. So give me a question. We can check it right
Okay.
away here.
There was a question about ceramics, I guess.
Oh, why don't you tell it? Spell it out. Please go ahead.
Yeah, there are many chats, so I lost it, but I'm just scrolling up to see it.
Yeah, just give me one. Just give me one. See, PubMed Reminer will be helpful for identifying the search strategy. So
Okay, I
that's a
copy
nice one.
pasted. Okay, no problem. I also copy
Just speak
paste
it out.
one in the message. I message you.
Message me as in the phone or
Yeah, in the chat, direct message.
direct message. I'm so sorry. I can't
Okay, I
see
will
it
type
because
it
my
down.
you've shared my
No
screen.
problem.
Sorry,
Uh,
Nafisa. Could you just tell it out? It's okay.
okay, the use of AI for ideation in ceramics student practical work.
Oh, could you please repeat it? I'm so sorry I missed you.
Okay, the use of AI for ideations in ceramics students practical works.
Artificial intelligence, ceramic works,
Yes, student
and
practical
ideation.
ceramic like for practical students works.
Practical works. I'll probably stick on to artificial intelligence and ceramic works for time being.
Yeah, I think so. Hopefully, I pronounce.
Yeah, there are about 38 abstracts which are there. And the lead author on this topic is somebody from China, QV or somebody. And these are the words that are there. So they've used work, base, ceramic, method, high, apply, model, different, neuron, data, etc. So these are the common mesh terms. Mesh terms are medical subject headings. So these are things, sorry, you may want to use in your search strategy when you want to build a search strategy depending on your question. So depending on a question, these are the various mesh which will pick up. So we can go through this and find out what are the things which are here. If anybody has published a paper, Nafisa, have you published a paper in this?
No, actually, I'm a medical field, so
Okay.
but because our
If you-
participant majority of them are social
okay.
science, so we want to
If
distribute it.
you No problem. If anybody's published a paper on this one, their names would definitely be here. So it gives you a great amount of options for the mesh and different words. So by then you know which is the who's the person who's published a lot of papers and on which word they've used and which mesh and what are the substances, how many articles are there on each of these things. But one downside with PubMed Reminer is it's only till 25,000. If it's more than 25,000, it cannot pick up. So for a shorter thing, if you want to use this for identifying a search strategy, this works very, very well. Maybe I'll take some questions on this. What's particularly of pub reminder? It's actually reminer. It's very good to remine and give you a lot of mesh words to build our own search strategies. So this will be very helpful for developing search strategies. So we may be stuck sometimes as to what search strategy to use. This gives you a lot of things. Okay, the next one is about screening. I would probably want to go directly to the search strategy adaptation because I think that's important because uh, Fortune showed you about covidence. I may want to skip that. This is a interesting thing which can help you with polyglot search for different databases. So with my reminer, I would have taken chemistry, neural networks, computer as my search strategy, ceramics. So this means TIAB. What's the other one? Neural networks, instrumentation. Few scaffolds. For those of you who are wondering what is this, TIAB stands for title and abstract. So this will search in title and abstract. Mesh is a subject term, which it's like a dictionary which has been meant for this. Uh, okay, there are two questions here. Roslyn asked about a pub reminder, like which documents to select. I think this becomes an individual choice about what is the question you have, and accordingly you can choose. Pub reminder multidisciplinary, yes, it is multidisciplinary because it looks at articles which are published in PubMed. So if social sciences are published in PubMed, it will look at the articles in PubMed. Pub reminder, unfortunately, does not search other databases. It searches only PubMed. SR accelerator is for search translation. So you have different databases. So if you go down, this is how it'll be in PubMed because I've used PubMed. If it's in oval medline, this is what is a keyword. If it's Cochrane library, this is the Cochrane library search terminology. If it is Embase, this is what you use. If it's Sinhal, this is what you use. Probably PsycInfo if it's there, yes. This is what it uses. So it is nothing but like how we use Google for translation. This is a translation of your search strategy. So whatever search strategy we have, systematic review accelerator would actually search and translate the search for us. This becomes very handy if you want to use it for multiple databases. Okay, the next one that I want to show you is robot reviewer. A lot of people are asking about will it extract? I don't know how many of you have used robot reviewer. Has anybody used robot reviewer in the past? Okay. Okay, no. No, get on with some magic. The first time I saw this, I was like, wow. So, oh my goodness. Okay. This robot reviewer, what we can do is we can drag the PDFs and we put it. It gives you this format. This is a demo which has already been given, but the only thing which robot reviewer does is it does only for RCTs. Unfortunately, for observation studies, there's no extractor that I know of, but this is brilliant. So you add the PDF, it will give you the PDF with allocation, concealment, random sequence, and blinding, etc. With the trial summaries, with the number of people, intervention outcomes, findings, with the character of studies, population intervention outcomes, with the bias and the support for judgment. So, robot reviewer makes it much easier. You just have to download the PDF and drag it and drop it here. It gives you the entire output along with the references. So, what you can do here is you can later download it into a Word or a HTML. I don't know what is JSON is probably a technical term, but it does only for randomized control trials. And probably I will stop with one last thing, which is Jenny AI. For those of you who find it difficult to write, Jenny AI is a brilliant tool. So I will just start writing. You need an account. So when you use, don't use my email ID, use yours. Hope it works. Okay, let me take one question from here. Probably the last question. Perinatal loss on spousal well-being. I'm doing a new document. So I'm right on perinatal loss on spousal well-being. Probably I will add Ghana. Mm, perinatal loss of spousal. Effect on. I'm just randomly writing something. I did not have to do anything. It just keeps writing it for you. So this is the power of AI. But if you cut, copy, and paste this into your paper, it's going to be trouble because people will easily find it. Easily they'll find it. Jenny.ai. You can use AI for your research work as long as you use it carefully and also you tell what you've used it for. If it's PhD thesis writing, your supervisor may not be very happy, but if you use it only for getting the outline, I think they would be happy about it. Grant, you said about robot reviewer. It's nothing. It's very easy. You just have to put the PDF into the robot reviewer and it'll do the extraction for you. Life is much easier. And I have one last software which Mariam, systematic review without getting caught. That's that depending on how smarter you work. I will stop with this one. Some people were asking about how to Jenny.ai. Yes. So Research Rabbit is a nice one where it will give you a network of your papers. So you write uh, cut, copy, paste will land you up in trouble. So please don't do it. So you add something, probably I'll choose something which people have written over here. Spousal well-being. Sorry. Okay, antioxidants and diabetes. Other subject here. So I've just added in one paper for my collection. So what this will do is, after some time, it will figure out what are the similar work it's been done. So, and it will map me all the researchers who've done these things, even with a timeline. Say from 1951, there have been papers until 2020. The first author and the last author, it changes, and it also tells me the network. So this is a bit smaller. I'm so sorry. You zoom in, you will know what is the connection. So this paper has cited this paper has cited this, they have cited here. So Research Rabbit gives you a good connection between different papers, different papers, and it gives you a idea of the network. So you will have an idea rather than looking at different search strategies. This will give you an idea of what it's all about. Okay, so we looked at Chat GPT to generate questions for us. How to develop a search strategy? We looked at Pub Reminer. We didn't look at screening title and abstracts using Ryan or Covidence. Database adaptation is by SR Accelerator. Data extraction is Robot Reviewer. Research writing is Jenny.ai. So Jenny.ai helps you to write. And finding citations, related articles and networks, Research Rabbit gives you a good idea. See, there are so many articles and so many AI tools which are there. So I've mentioned things which are kind of free for at least few usage, and also some things which I've tried. Okay, Jenny AI. Somebody wants to know. Jenny AI is a is an app which writes the research writing for you. Just put the topic, it'll do it for you. About Research Rabbit connecting to Zotero, I have not tried it because I use the Research Rabbit only to find the network. I really do not use it to Zotero. Maybe there is a way. I have not explored it, so it's worth exploring. Mariam, you need to tell about the tools to remove plagiarism as well. I don't think there is a straightforward answer for your question because whatever smart things we do, people come up with a smarter one. So we just have to be accountable and honest and transparent in whatever we do. I just want you to, okay, I'm slightly shooting up time, but I will just finish in maybe another 3 4 minutes. I'll finish. I just wanted to go with this thought. It is called a GIGO. Has anybody heard of GIGO? It's nothing but garbage in and garbage out. So, artificial intelligence tool is something like it is depending on what input we give. So, unless we have good input or we put in garbage, we'll get garbage out. So, that is where human intelligence comes into play, and we need to be very careful about what we input. So, identify a good research question is very, very important. That's why I was talking and explaining more about getting the research question proper. So, proper research question, which is useful, will give us good outputs. We input garbage, we'll get garbage only out. So, whether you input garbage or whether you input good research question is up to us. So, when we started, I said we would like to describe the process involved in preparing systematic review. I think we've done. We also identified the common challenges faced during the process, yes, and to participate and explore the role of artificial intelligence systematic reviews. I think we've kind of covered what we were supposed to cover. I'd be happy to take some questions here, or probably if you feel too shy to ask here, you may probably email me. I'd be happy to send in my feedback and suggestions. So thank you, Nafisa, Fortune, and Rosalind for the opportunity, and thank you so much for your patient listening, especially when there were some concerns. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Lenny, for this insightful presentation. Uh, not sure if you are able to take more questions or we have
Maybe 5 minutes. I can take questions as long as I don't eat into somebody else's time.
Okay, sure. So you have the stage. You can raise your hand and ask your question, or you can just type it in the Q&A. Then we will go through it.
Okay, somebody asked pub reminder require login. No, it doesn't require login. You can just go in and use it.
I will give the opportunity to
Okay.
Daniel. I allowed you to talk, so you can speak. Unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Hello?
Hi, Daniel.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I love your presentation,
Oh, thank you.
but I have a confusion somewhere.
Go ahead,
My
please.
question is that if you have identified the data using these softwares and these sites, how do you get the data into an Excel sheet for further analysis? How do you they identify data? How do you get it into the Excel sheet
Okay.
for further analysis? Is
Okay.
it manually done, or there's a software
Okay.
that can just integrate the data into the Excel sheet?
Daniel, may I ask you a question? Are you doing a PhD
Yeah.
or finished your PhD?
I have finished.
Okay, finished. Okay,
Yes.
so I'm sure you are asking it based on your experience where you can integrate things to Excel.
Yes.
Honestly, I do not use these things when I do my review because I prefer it the old school way, because I need to be a bit more careful when I do it because my reputation is at stake when I write my papers.
Okay.
So usually the premium or the paid versions have an extraction thing or preferred, which I have not explored because number one, I do not have a lot of money. Number two, I do not have online banking, so I've never tried and explored. But I'm sure with the premium version, there would be things where you can explore it. Number two, there's something called as Distiller SR, which we haven't spoken about here. Distiller SR has an option where it can upload, the output can come into an Excel sheet. So there are things which are there. So it depends on the available resources we have. It does.
Okay.
A lot of people are interested about Research Rabbit. I have not explored Research Rabbit. I use it just for my own understanding. Then I do my own PubMed search. For your question, probably Daniel, exploring the premium version, if you have money, would be helpful. If not, it might be a bit challenging. So there's no direct answer to your question, but
Okay.
thanks for that. Maybe next time I'll explore it, Daniel.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Lenny. Thank you very much, Daniel, for the question. And unfortunately, because we came up to the end of this session, we have really limited time, but still, we can take your questions. The question box, we'll share it later. So you can share your question, and then we will share it with Mr. Lenny, and I'm sure he's always open to to answer the question. Thank you very much, Lenny, for this insightful, very, very, very helpful presentation. And if you would like also to share your LinkedIn later, you can share it with me and I will share it to the participant.
No, I would probably prefer my email ID. I'm just typing in my email ID. It is
Okay, sure.
lennyv at the rate of cmcvelor.ac.in. Okay, so need anything, just let me know. I'd be happy to help you out with. Thank you so much. And sorry about the delay. Sorry about the technical things. It's beyond our control. But thank you, Fortune. Thank you, Nafisa. And thank you, Julia and Roslyn. It's been wonderful. And thank you, wonderful audience. You've been very, very interactive and very good. Keep up your good work and keep up.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Fortin, are you here?
I'm a physiotherapist.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Can you take this?
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for joining. So we'll have 30 minutes lunch break. So you can grab your lunch. And then after 30 minutes, we can come in for the Covidence installation or setup. It's technically not an installation. You just have to create an account with Covidence. So, but if you have an account with Covidence already and you're very conversant with, manipulating around Covidence, or at least doing the basic settings, then you can come back after 1 hour for the next session. Thank you very much.